I got royalty inside my DNA. I got cannabis, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. 死んだ天性 I was born like this is wild. Immaculate conception, I just never perform like this without you. One new weapon, I know I meditate on this that.
Hey guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. This is a what if series and I'll be doing more down the road. Plus Ultra! Hey guys, and welcome to What If Tanjiro was Yoriichi's Reincarnation Part 3. So thank you guys for hitting the like goal. As I stated in the previous video, it means a lot. So now the like goal for this video is going to be 40 likes. Now if you hit that, I will release Part 3 Part 4 as soon as possible. Part 3. This is Part 3. Anyway, let's get back into where we left off. Now, Tanjiro is facing Akaza, who just asked him to become a demon, which Tanjiro denies. And Akaza just says, "So, you denied my offer?" And Tanjiro would look at Akaza, "No, I will not become a demon. My sole purpose is to eradicate you demons from this world. You believe that you can do whatever you want. You believe that you can just take from people's lives. A life that will never come back. So much destruction and so much pain that you people have caused, and you think that life is a joke. You think that you can take life as if you're above everybody else, that you're above the weak. Well, I won't stand for it." As Akaza just basically lets down his head and just says, "Very well." And all of a sudden he just stomps on the ground and says, "Compass needle." Well, destructive death, compass needle. And as then he starts to rush at Tanjiro, and Tanjiro just looks at this with a calm expression on his face as if Akaza is fighting a plant. And all of a sudden it's both of them two are just going at it with each other all over the place. From everywhere on the battlefield, as Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Rengoku is watching amazed at what Tanjiro is doing right now. Now, Tanjiro would then say, "Hinokami Kagura, Beneficent Radiance," and chop off Akaza's arm, and left leg as Akaza jumps back with one leg on. Now, his sword would have basically a small effect from the red blade. Akaza would then regenerate his limbs and says, "That's an interesting blade, and your techniques, your moves, everything about you, Tanjiro. You have to become a demon. You can hone yourself to become so strong. We can fight forever." And this is where Tanjiro says, "Enough with this demon stuff. Hinokami Kagura." Clear blue sky, and as he's swinging the sword towards Akaza ducks under the blade and sends a punch to Tanjiro's stomach, to which Tanjiro takes and jumps back from, coughing up spit. Now this is where Tanjiro looks at him and he just breathes out. "So that bastard must have gave you guys a power up, didn't he? I haven't fought any of you guys before. I have not fought an upper moon. So I would think after Tanjiro, I would think after I basically slashed Muzan across the back, he probably gave you guys some more blood to upgrade you. I don't know how the bastard's powers works, but you seem to be stronger, very stronger. I can sense that about you." Now, Tanjiro would stand up and say, "Then I have to get serious with you. This cannot go on for too long." Now Tanjiro would rush at he would rush at Akaza, and Akaza would say, he would jump up in the air and then say destructive death, air type, and start letting off these powerful ass shockwave punches, and Tanjiro would see him coming, basically dodging each one that he was throwing at him. Now, this is where Akaza would be punching out rapidly as Tanjiro is dodging each one that comes at him. He jumps up in the air with Akaza. Akaza seeming as shocked that he's up here with him, damn, this kid has some impressive power, some impressive technique to get up here where I'm at. Akaza would go to throw a punch, but Tanjiro would then say, "Hinokami Kagura, setting sun transformation," and flip over Akaza's punch with the sword coming up, cutting off of Akaza's arm, and then doing like a 360 spin and cutting off his other arm. Akaza would then like backflip away from Tanjiro and land back on the ground, regrowing out his limbs. This is where the fight would even get more intense and more destructive, as they're fighting all over the place, even fighting in the woods. Now, Tanjiro would journey in the woods as Akaza is right in his face, and he dodged a kick that Akaza was sending towards him. And then Tanjiro said, Burning Bone Summer Sun, fourth form, and basically chop off Akaza's legs and arms, and then go right for his head. Right now, he has the opening, and Akaza would regrow his limbs and block the blade that was coming for him. As he see it going through his hand, he jumps away and kicks Tanjiro away from him, and the both of them go back out into view. Now, Rengoku is about to join in, seeming as if he thought Tanjiro was done for, but no, Tanjiro is still in the fight. Now, this is where Tanjiro says that he's moving very slow, but he's still able to keep up with me. I can see his movements. Jesus Christ, this has to be interesting. He must be able to see the same world I see, but I still have the advantage over him. Now, Tanjiro would then get more serious as he starts to release more forms to defeat Akaza. Now, the battle is getting very destructive, and Inosuke and Zenitsu are just standing while Zenitsu is knocked out. But Inosuke wants to join. He wants to intervene in the battle, but he feels that if he basically gets into this fight, if he gets in the middle of Tanjiro and Akaza, he definitely will die. For no doubt that he's definitely going to die if he gets in between the both of them. Now, Tanjiro and Akaza back off from each other, and Akaza says, "So, Tanjiro, you're gonna get tired. This can't keep going on." And Tanjiro says, "I haven't broken a sweat yet fighting you." And this is where Akaza would tell him, "Are you gonna become a demon?" Tanjiro would tell him, "No, I'm not gonna become a demon. Why would I become a demon when the sole progenitor of demons murdered my entire family? We didn't do anything to nobody. We were just a peaceful and bliss family, living in the mountains, staying away from trouble. Yet, he had to take the most precious thing away from me. Now I'm going to take the most precious thing away from him, his life. Everything that he's desired or ever dreamt of, I'm going to shatter. I'm going to destroy each and every one of you." Now, Tanjiro and Akaza's battle would then continue as the both of them rush at each other, as Akaza is smiling by Tanjiro's speed, potential, and everything. After Muzan gave him the blood, Tanjiro is still able to keep up with him, but Tanjiro is still taking damage too. Tanjiro got hit in the stomach, but not to a degree of Rengoku's damage. Tanjiro is parrying some of the attacks that Akaza is throwing at him. Even with the blood increase from Muzan, Tanjiro is parrying like every attack that he gets punched in the stomach, but the next attack that comes aiming for him, he blocks, evades, parries. Yes, Tanjiro is skilled like that. He also studied in like hand-to-hand combat while doing sword training with a Rokodaki. So yeah, that part. Now Tanjiro rushes at Akaza and says, "Hinokami Kagura, Dragon Sun Halo Dance," and in a quick series of slashes, chops off every limb on Akaza and kicks him back. Now this is where Tanjiro says, "You're dead now." Now Akaza would regrow all his limbs, and even his head, and Tanjiro would be like, "I didn't even know a demon could do that." Now this is where Tanjiro would grip his sword and he would say, "Enough of this." Tanjiro's sword would then undergo a change, and his blade would begin to turn completely red. And this is where Tanjiro would then get into a stance, and he would say, "This is over for you." Now Tanjiro would rush at Akaza, cutting off his leg, cutting off his arm, and then he would say Flame Dance. In 2-slash move, he would cut off Akaza's head and basically cut him straight in half. Now Akaza's on the ground. He didn't even see this coming. Tanjiro moved so fast that it was like a blank, and he was right in front of him. Now, as Tanjiro is right there, he says, "You won't be able to heal from that. You're as good as dead." And Tanjiro said, "The sun should be up any minute now. So I'm going to stand right here until you die." Now, this is where Akaza is just laying there, and right now he has to accept defeat. Akaza is just staring at Tanjiro, and he says that, you know something, I started to remember my human life. What made me turn into a demon in the first place? Somebody killed my wife. I was just as innocent as you were when the world took something as precious as that away from me. And this is where Tanjiro would then look at Akaza, and he kneels down to him and say, and he touches Akaza's head and says, maybe you will have peace in your next life. Maybe your dreams and aspirations, maybe pain won't be presented to you in your next life. Now, Akaza would shed a tear from this as you see his face goes back to the normal human look that he was when he was a human. And Tanjiro sees this, and then Akaza just burns away. Tanjiro has defeated Upper Moon 3 Akaza. And this is where he sheaves his blade. His blade goes back to normal, and he sheaves it, and then journeys back over to Rengoku to make sure everyone else is alright. Yes, the Mugen Train arc was a success. Nobody died, everybody remained alive, and Tanjiro and Rengoku kept everyone safe, so as Zenitsu and Inosuke. Now, we get to the part to where Tanjiro first meets Tengen Uzui. Now, he didn't first meet Tengen Uzui. He goes to the mansion to see, because he heard a lot of rumbling there, and he sees that all the girls are surrounding Tengen, and he asks, what's going on? And the girl would say that he's trying to kidnap them, and then Tanjiro would just turn his head and say, why are you trying to kidnap them? Because I need them for a mission, and it's kind of unflashy the way they're attacking me right now. I have given them orders. Well, we have our orders. And Tanjiro would say, so you need these girls. Well, they don't really have any much skill as in sword fighting, the ones that you have, and the other one that you have isn't really much of a fighter anyway. Now, Tengen would say, well, then I don't need her. And Tanjiro would have been right there and catched her and placed her on the ground. And he'd say, you got to be more gentle. This is where Tengen would be shocked that Tanjiro was right there next to him fast like that. He thought he was the only one that can move. Not only one, but it's a judgment of who's fast and who's more speedy and stuff like that. But, hey, right now, Tanjiro is a beast. Anyway, so as he tells Tengen, he says, well, why don't you take me, Zenitsu, and Inosuke with you? I think we'll be much more help than they would. And he would say, really? And who's the other two? Who is Zenitsu and Inosuke? Now, this is where Zenitsu and Inosuke would come out of nowhere, and they would appear right next to Tanjiro. And then he would look at them. He would come up with it, and would try to just think about it in his head, and then he would say, all right, fine, whatever. Then he allows them to come with him. Now, this is where he does his whole speech about I'm God and you guys are nothing but trash. You do whatever I say, when I say, and what I say. And this is where, well, Tanjiro does the same thing in canon as he asks that same question. And then, what's the name? He says this, you have potential. And Tanjiro say, don't forget I did knock you out, so I kind of am above you. And this is where Tengen would remember that and just turn his head. And so, basically, they would journey off. Now, Tanjiro is right next to, Uzui. He's right next to Tengen running. Zenitsu and Inosuke see them, and they're getting far away, so they have to catch up to them as Tanjiro and, Uzui took off. Now, they would make their way to the red light district or the entertainment district, whichever one you want to call it. Now, once they get there, everything plays out as normal with Tengen basically putting Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke under disguise. Now, everything would play out normally. Up until the point to where I'm going to do a little time skip. Now, everything will play out normally up to the point to where Tanjiro first meets Daki. And Daki wouldn't necessarily do that same thing that she did in canon. Well, to a degree, Tanjiro would block her belt that hit him into that other building. Now, when Tanjiro gets up out of the building, he would just dust himself out. And she say, you escaped that attack, but then right there, Tanjiro is right in her face. And instantly, her head falls to the ground. Now, this is where Tanjiro would say, he would cut the belts that had the girl in them, and he would look at her and say, weak. Now, this is where Tanjiro would look at the person that she was basically having unconscious and everything. And Tanjiro says, I hope you're all right. Now, this is where Tanjiro would look at her and say, for an Upper Moon, you're quite weak. I mean, Upper Moon 3 was more of a challenge than you were. But anyway, I'm wondering, why are you not disintegrating? I mean, I cut your head off. You should be dead right now. And this is where she's arguing with Tanjiro, saying, I am an upper moon. And Tanjiro is just looking at her and say, you can't be an upper moon since your head came off so easily. You gotta be a weak upper moon at that. And I bet since I killed Akaza, you guys had got another portion of blood to make you even more stronger. Well, I didn't even think that was even possible, but it doesn't even seem like you're strong enough to contend with me. And this is where Daki gets mad, and she summons all of her belts to get the power up that she did, because she didn't have her, basically she wasn't at full power. So when she summons all her belts, Tanjiro then jumps away as belts come flying at him, and then she puts her, like her head goes back on her shoulders and she heals faster. Now this is where Daki and Tanjiro get into a battle with each other, flying all over the city, fighting each other. Now Tanjiro admits that she is strong, but he says that you're not quite strong enough. Now Daki says that you can't protect fight me and protect the citizens of this city at the same time. As she lets off her belt in a flash-like motion, Tanjiro flies down there trying to grab the man from getting his hand cut off, but he couldn't protect everyone. Now, this is where the same thing would happen is Tanjiro is standing in front of the man, but the only difference is the man's arm didn't get cut off, and Tanjiro didn't get cut across the chest. Now, Daki is looking at this as a destruction. Some of the people still got killed. Some of the houses still caved in from the damage. Yeah, that part. Now, Tanjiro is looking at this, and he has veins in his face right now. Now, Tanjiro rushes at Daki as she's getting ready to jump away as she thinks the battle is already over. And while Tanjiro has a grip, Daki throws a kick at Tanjiro, who just missed the blade of her neck. Now, only this time, Tanjiro is not going to be coughing up blood or basically falling to the ground like damaged or basically taking the toll from using the Hinokami Kagura. No, instead what happens is Daki and Tanjiro gets into a feuded battle. Now once Tanjiro rushes at Daki, once he has her belts pinned down by his sword, he rushes at her and says, Hinokami Kagura, clear blue sky, as her head comes directly off her shoulders. Now Tanjiro then says, see what I mean? Weak. As Daki then starts to cry, because the same thing just happened again, and this is where Gyutaro comes out of her, and Tanjiro jumps away from him as he feels these sickle-like blood slashes was coming at him. Now, Gyutaro would be looking at Daki, and he would just say that, this guy hurt you, didn't he? And she would just be tearing up from this. And this is where Tengen would join where Tanjiro is after his 3 wives are safe. Now, Tengen and Tanjiro would be looking at, he would be looking at Gyutaro. Now, this is where Zenitsu and Inosuke would come to. Now, let me tell you something right now. You have a Tanjiro who is the reincarnation of Yoriichi. You have Tengen Uzui. You have Zenitsu, who's asleep right now. And you have Inosuke. Now, Gyutaro and Daki are in for a run. They're in for a run. Now, keep in mind, this is a stronger version of Gyutaro and Daki. Now, Tanjiro is a special case, but for Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, for those 3, this is going to be very, very challenging for them. Now, Tanjiro does his best to help fight against, while Daki is fighting against, Zenitsu and Inosuke, and it's causing him trouble, too, because basically, if they thought she was trouble in the canon version, she's more trouble now, and she's giving Zenitsu and Inosuke trouble, while Tengen and Tanjiro is fighting against Gyutaro. And Tanjiro is not having much trouble with, fighting Gyutaro. It's just Gyutaro is very acrobatic and dodging most of his attacks. Now, with that, Tanjiro does manage to cut off Gyutaro's arm and cut off his leg, while one of Uzui's wife, Hinataru, threw all those kunais down. This is where Tanjiro rushed at Gyutaro before he could regrow his limbs, grab him, and he would be hit with most of those kunais. Now, Tanjiro wouldn't be hit with none of them. Basically, it was like he grabbed him while the kunais got closer and kicked Gyutaro into the kunais while he got poisoned. Now, this is where Zenitsu would do his thunder breathing, thunder cap and flash, God speed. What is that one? Godlike speed. I think it was godlike speed, he said. And he would flash at Daki. Basically, she did that whole thing to where saving her neck so it won't get cut off. And this is where Tanjiro and Tanjiro would then swing his sword at Gyutaro and cut off his head, as Daki basically still had her head intact. Basically, they have to plan an attack to where they both can cut off each other's head. So Gyutaro is still alive as the poison does wear off and he grows his limb back, and basically his body jumps over to where his head is and put it back on his shoulder. Now, Daki looks at this as she gets her head cut off by Zenitsu and Inosuke. And this is where Inosuke is running around with the head of Gyutaro's sister. Now, Gyutaro flashes away in speed, but before he could stick his sword through Inosuke's heart, Tanjiro is right there in front of him. And in a quick motion, all Tanjiro says is, Hinokami Kagura, Burning Bone Summer Sun. And it's a large circular attack that just chops off all Gyutaro's legs and arms. And this is where Tanjiro says, right now, he cuts off Gyutaro's head, and basically, it's weird. It's weird. It still doesn't work because they have to do it at the exact same time. So with that, Gyutaro jumps away and does the same thing he did in canon. And this is where Tanjiro grabs Daki's head and throws it back to her body. And this is where he says, this has to be done at the exact same time. So as these two are getting ready to fight each other, Gyutaro sees that he's heavily outmatched, as Tengen and Tanjiro plan an all-out attack, blitzing Gyutaro with multiple attacks from every direction, as Tanjiro is using form 1 through 6 to basically put Gyutaro on edge, as Gyutaro throwing slashes at Tanjiro, to which Tanjiro does the fake rainbow and basically blitzes away around Gyutaro. And then Zenitsu and Inosuke get to the where they perfectly have Daki cornered, to where Zenitsu had to break his other leg just to do this attack. Now, Tanjiro and Uzui both have their blades right at Gyutaro's neck, as Zenitsu and Inosuke both cut off Daki's head, and Tanjiro and Uzui cuts off Gyutaro's head. They did it at the exact same time, only suffering minimal damage. They're not as damaged as they were in canon, meaning as if Zenitsu and Inosuke can come to the swordsmith village with Tanjiro. Well, not so much Zenitsu, but Inosuke can come. But Zenitsu, he's not going to be able to come in this one because both of his legs are broken. So yeah, the same thing still happened to him, to which he had to use his godlike speed to fight against Daki and them. But yeah, even when I said it was going to be explosive and everything, it's just like Daki and Gyutaro did as much. They did damage Uzui. They did damage Tanjiro a little bit. They did damage, but most of the people that did receive, Tanjiro received just minimal damage, not much that is noticeable. But Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, they received a lot of damage, to which Tengen was bleeding from the head, like he got cut on the head when he was trying to fight Gyutaro. And Zenitsu, both his legs are broken, and Inosuke would have just been hit, he has a few broken ribs and stuff like that. So a few broken ribs, and just he's battle damaged from the fight, way battle damaged from the fight. So I don't know if I should let him come, because it seems like that can heal. Maybe it can heal, because Tanjiro was stabbed through the mouth. So I mean, it don't seem as if it's that much damage into the Inosuke. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all want me to put Inosuke in the swordsmith village with Tanjiro. Anyway, yeah, so that's it for the red light district. Basically, they came out unscathed. Tengen didn't lose his eye, and he didn't lose his left hand, so basically he's good. So he can basically be a part of upcoming missions in the future. To which Tanjiro does tell Tengen to basically train harder, and that he needs to basically focus on training more ruthlessly to get stronger, to get very stronger, because the upcoming battles are going to be harder from now on. I think Muzan is planning for us to attack. Anyway, without any further ado, for this video, the like goal is 40 likes. Now, where I'm going to leave this at is that everything in the red light district happens as normal, but this is that small thing that I forgot to mention, is that when Gyutaro's body does that little explosion-like thing, that whole explosion-like thing and destroy the city. Yeah, Nezuko stops that. She negates the hell out of that. She didn't have to come and save Tanjiro this time to basically go in her berserk form. And Gyutaro and Daki would be arguing with each other, but Tanjiro would be able to silence both of them as they both fade away, Daki crying, and, well, Gyutaro remembering his sister's name. Anyway, without any further ado, you guys have a good day, a good night, and plus ultra. Good night, guys.
君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっと噂の Dreaming が忘れないででも気持ちは伝えてしまえばいつかその夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角君の虜にな